Hey there, Jamie with Brazelton Realty here. Today we are going to compare and contrast Greeley to Loveland. I'm going to look at 5 different aspects of these cities and I'm going to compare the two to give you my personal opinion and perception of these cities. We're going to see which of these cities you would prefer to live in. Hopefully this will help you decide if you want to move to either of them. But before I begin, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. All right, so to start things off, let's look at the cost of living. Now I'm going to look at the average home price and the sales tax to determine what the cost of living is going to be in each of these cities. Understand there's a lot of ways that you can look at this. These are just the 2 main factors that I'm going to look at. First is the average sales price for homes. In Greeley, average sales price is $365,000. And then in Loveland, we have $427,000. So we see a bit of a delta. Now with sales tax, we see Greeley at 4.11% and Loveland at 6.7%. So again, we see a bit of a delta between those two. So Greeley, as far as cost of living, is going to be cheaper than Loveland. Now let's talk about lifestyle. Greeley is more of an ag town. That's kind of the vibe it gives off. I'll get to that in a second. So it really doesn't have much of a nightlife to it. It's a slower paced, kind of a sleepy town. Traffic's really not that bad. That's kind of the lifestyle that we see here in Greeley. There's a lot of young families, but we also see that generational gap all the way up into fairly old generation as well. Loveland does have a lot of young population and old population as well, so they have a very diverse age group living there as well. You do get the mountain aspect. You also have a lot of small towns around Loveland that also really influence the lifestyle there. I wouldn't say it's a fast-paced city, but it's probably a faster-paced city than Greeley is, or at least it feels that way. You're also going to get kind of the retirement community into Loveland, and so that aspect really does play with the lifestyle that people live. You're still going to see a lot of recreation going on there. You're going to see they have a lot of lakes, so you're going to see some of that, but they're also close to the mountains, so you'll see some of that as well. That's kind of Loveland, I guess, in a nutshell. Now, along with lifestyle, we're also going to see kind of the vibe that the city itself gives off. Greeley is, again, it's an ag town, so you're going to get some of that agricultural vibe. Even though the majority of people within Greeley don't actually work in agriculture, you're still going to see that highly influenced the vibe of the town. Now they've been trying to revitalize the downtown, and they've been trying to introduce a lot more public art and things of that nature. So there is some of that that's starting to change a little bit, but that's really the foundation of Greeley. Loveland, you're going to get more of the artistic flair. There's a lot of millennials there, so it's kind of more of the hipster vibe, and the downtown has a lot of restaurants and things of that nature. So you're going to get a little bit more of a mix and diversity with Loveland in that regard. You're also going to get kind of that, I wouldn't say sleepy, but more of a retirement type of a vibe where you have, more golf courses, you have more retired aged activities and things of that nature. Now when we look at population, Greeley is 106,000 and Loveland's about 77,000. So Loveland is a tiny bit smaller. However, when you're in Loveland, personally, I don't feel like that. It feels like it's a smaller place to live. It does feel, to me, actually bigger than Greeley does, partly because it's tucked up between I-25 and the mountains and Fort Collins and then Longmont on the other side, and Berthoud in there too. So you kind of get them sandwiched in, and so it's a fairly dense, from a geographic perspective, population. And the traffic, to me, kind of drives me crazy, to be honest. There's a lot of stoplights, and it does take quite a while to get from one side of the city to the other side. Greeley, we always say it takes 15 minutes to get anywhere because you can drive from one side to the other in 15 minutes or less pretty easily. So traffic, to me, is still less in Greeley than it is in Loveland, even though the population is less in Loveland. Now, when we look at things to do within both of these cities, neither of them have a ton of things to do, but they are close to a lot of different things. Both of them are very well located, very close to Denver, so you can always drive 30 minutes, 45 minutes to Denver. When you go to Loveland, it's closer to the mountains, so you're gonna get more of that mountain activity type of a vibe and things to do there. You also have more lakes in Loveland, and so there's Boyd Lake there, and so a lot of people enjoy spending time at Boyd Lake. Both of them are going to have breweries and parks and walking paths and things of that nature. So I'm not really going to talk too much about those because they both are going to have those things. Loveland is closer to the Budweiser Event Center, which has a lot of sporting events and concerts and other type of venue events there. And so a lot of people from Loveland tend to navigate over there. It's not too far away from Greeley either. So some people from Greeley go over, but I tend to find less people that enjoy that type of an event living over in Greeley. Greeley does have the Greeley Stampede, which is a outside rodeo and concerts and carnival and the like. So Greeley does have that going for it. But other than that, Greeley doesn't really have a lot of other things to do other than the normal city things. But again, it is centrally located. So in order to go somewhere that has it, you're not that far away. Now, I hope this is helpful to you. I hope if you're considering to move to northern Colorado, that you can look at these two towns and have a better idea as to the vibe and the population and really what that city has to offer. And so you can make a determination as far as what's more important to you. I'm gonna leave a couple links down in the description of the 2020 market reports for both of these cities, so you can look at the housing and you can see what the appreciation looks like and how many houses have been on the market and have sold and the like. So you can make the best decision you possibly can.